Uh, it was 2 days ago, Friday, when I had my live talking about a few things. So there was a lot of different topics that I tackled because I hosted the top TikTokers in Uganda. And of course it brought a lot of talkability, a lot of attention here and there. I'm like, okay, first and foremost, what I want you to know is my job as a showbiz person is to attract attention. Now, lesson number one, you have to understand the nature of the work you do. Don't just read books on the top. Bwiinooo kuyiga bannaye naddala eno message ejja ennyo mu Bannayuganda balowooza nti mumanyi nnyo buli kimu. Temumanyi buli kimu. No. Please get that phone for me. Temumanyi buli kimu. No. Mulina okubeera careful. Mulina okuyiga okufumiitiriza. Please digest. Muyiga okudigesting ebintu. Babatega no batega, and you just proceed by gwa mu bintu. It was I spoke about I saw two issues. Of course, many people rotated about two issues. The two issues that I think were rotated about was one, I saw some people say that how can I support violence in the music industry when I said that ebifena twabikola twekuba twakola kino ne kino, but as long as it's constructive. That's number one. Then number two, nalabye, and remember, when you're on my live, you have to know that Bebe kula chogeranga bwe kiri. Ne bwe kiba kiruma, ne bwe kiba chichi, but as long as it is that, I say it and I don't sugarcoat. Nze sigula buganzi. Love Bebe Cool, follow Bebe Cool, like Bebe Cool for him and his being genuine to things. It is a very difficult situation. But then I found that munsibo beranga, if in life you choose the truth, you stand alone. That's the first thing you should know. But by standing alone, always you're visible. Because everything you say in the truth will always come back to the many later on. The only difference is they will never come out and tell you know what, you were right. Because they are shy, they did not listen. Because they are gloomy at their hearts, they are saying, how could he have known the truth? Because they didn't expect you to know the truth. They didn't expect it to be the truth. So they keep fighting themselves. I remember, I'll give you a scenario one time or some years back when I spoke about people who live in the diaspora vis-a-vis people who live in Uganda. I made a statement because a friend of mine argued out with me and said, because I didn't like the statement of saying when you go to Europe or when you leave and go to live out of Uganda, you go for greener pastures. That statement, ejawo patriotism yomuntu. Your statement, Mbinyo, I argued that issue long ago. And today I'm very sure that everyone who lives abroad would rather live in Uganda. Abachachiwakanira bebano obudde bujja kujja era bakyogere mitima gyabwe oba abakyakiganye bagamba bekwasa politics ninga baali yagadde okubeera awaka. So the greener pastures will always be made by you here in Uganda. Bannanga abantu ababeera ebweru bayita mu bizibu bingi nnyo. That can't be greener pastures. Obalabira wano ng'obasabye ssente mwe abasaba obumwanyi mmwe Abannayuganda. Omuntu n'akugamba akola kiro na misana. Kiro na misana. Let me ask you something, sincerely speaking. Bwe muba musobola okuva e Uganda nga mbadde mukola misana wokka, n'ogenda e Bulaaya n'okola emisana n'ekiro, n'oweza ssente zisinga ku z'e Uganda kubanga Uganda wali okola misana lwokka, naye ebweru okola emirundi ebiri emirimu ebiri, naye Uganda wali okola guki gumu, naye gwe n'ogamba nti ebweru ogaggawadde nnyo okoze ssente nnyingi okusinga bwe wali e Uganda, ng'ate oganye okunyonyola abantu nti kati ebweru w'oli okola emirundi ebiri, towummula. Kati njagala kunyonyolako ku bantu mwali mukirowoozezaako ekyo, kubanga emisana bw'oba okola omulimu gumu e Bulaaya mu Amerika oba e Bungereza, akasente mukimanyi tekasobola kuwera. Mukimanyi mwenna baganda bange bamaama, mwenna mumanyi. So no neneebuza nze nga Moses obanga Bebe ne ngamba nti ebiseera ebyo wali okyali wano oba mmwe abali wano, instead of okugamba nti mukola ssente ntono bali bakola nnyingi, lwaki temubabuuza bakola emirimu emeka nammwe mugikole wano? Lwaki temukola emirimu ebiri wano? Nova mu office ku ssaawa 11 ey'olweggulo, n'ogenda oggulawo saluuni yo ku ssaawa 2 ekiro. Let me ask you something. Ani yakugamba mbu saluuni tezisobola kukola kiro? Now I am going to ask you genuine questions. Omuntu alina saluuni esala enviiri ez'abasajja, esala ebirevu, akola enviiri, asiba enviiri, osobola okumbuulira nti nno gwalina omulimu gwa Monday to Friday, ogenda kuddira ennaku z'ebbiri z'olina okubeera n'abaana Saturday ne Sunday awaka, olina okwoza engoye, olina okulabirira ku mwami, olina okukola ebintu ebiri genuine awaka, oziteekemu ogenda mu saluuni ku Saturday emisana ne Sunday emisana. So nga ate singa wabadde nga osobola walikoze schedule yo nga mu saluuni olumala komawo ku lese ku Wednesday saa 11 n'ojja ewaka n'otegeka abaana ne balya emmere n'obabikka mu buliri ku ssaawa 3 ne bw'oba mukyala n'osituka n'ogenda mu saluuni n'ovaayo saa 6 n'ojja ne weebaka n'okeera ku makya n'ogenda ku mulimu. Naye ku ssaawa omuntu agenze mu saluuni ku ssaawa 3 oba 4 ez'ekiro, number 1 owa saluuni aba akoze omulimu ogwokubiri, kuba yakoze emisana kati azze ku y'ekiro akoze omulimu ogwokubiri. Number 2 obudde bwo oba obumaneginze bulungi. Ekintu ekyo nakikayanira, si saluuni yokka, okoze emmotoka. Lwaki gwe avudde mu office emisana ku saa 11 n'ogenda mu bbaala ku ssaawa 2 ku Friday, ku Monday, ku Tuesday? Because Uganda is a very good country. Sijja kigaana kino nti nno we have 2 economies. We have a day economy and a night economy. Night economy ge mabaala. Eno Uganda yo yalema. Ratings muzikebere ku YouTube oba ku Google. Kakati bw'otunuulira nti n'amabaala gakola ekiro. Recently nali ngamba mukwano gwange London eyo nga mugamba bw'oba okomyewo lwaki totunda by'otunze wano n'okomawo e Uganda n'ogula ki pick-up n'oteekako ki drum eky'amazzi, because e Uganda okyasobola okufuna amazzi ag'obwereere ng'ogenze ku luzzi in a well. Tulina enzizi nnyingi nnyo. Bw'obeera ne pick-up n'oteekamu liters ezimala okwoza emmotoka 10, ogendayo n'obala amafuta agavudde wano gagenda e Kawempe ku luzzi n'ossaamu amafuta, ekamokya ku luzzi, manya amazzi n'osena amazzi n'ojjuza ekyo kitanka. Kaakati n'oyoza emmotoka zo emisana ng'ogenze ku offices, blocks za offices emisana, n'ogenda n'otuuka mu URA n'obagamba URA nsaba contract eyoza emmotoka z'abakozi. Nti kale URS esasula, naye URA ng'ekitongole bwe kikukkiriza okuyingira parking lot yaabwe okwolezaawo emmotoka. Okay, gwe noobanga ku mmotoka osobola okugamba wayora enze nja cleaninganga wano ate amazzi sikozesa gago ne sabbuuni wange. Kaakati then abakozi bo ne bamanyanga nti bwe naatuuka ku mulimu mpakinze emmotoka naagenda okuvaayo nga njoze. How many companies, how many office blocks do we have in Uganda? Hundreds and thousands. Kaakati bw'omala okwozeeza emisana n'olyoka otunuulira amabaala ekiro, second route ogwo mulimu gwakumeka gwakubiri, n'ogamba nti ngenda kubuukinga 5 bars oba 10 bars, kale katugabe 5 bars. You book 5 bars n'ogenda ku mezo n'ogenda ku pier n'okola contract nabo nti ekiro nja kujjanga n'ekitaala kyange n'amazzi gange. All I want is to talk to customers who are parking. Parking abwe mubuuza nti mwoleze nakkiriza nze njagalayo omutwalo gumu. Amazzi wafunye ga bwerere, sabbuuni ogenda kukozesanga wa 12,000, omwana ayoza ogenda muwayo 13,000, ku mutwalo osigazaako 5. 5 ezo ne bw'oyoza emmotoka 20 kuba obeera n'abaana 2, pipe 2 eziva ku kigundi ekyo. Kati gwe kyokola owapiye omugamba emmotoka gye ngenda okwoza, gwe n'oteekawo akantu n'ojja emisana n'ozimbawo akantu amazzi we gayita ne gakulukuta ne gagenda mu ki. Naye olaba washing bay zonna zibeera nzigale ekiro. Saluuni oluwera saa 12 ng'abantu baggalawo emu. Oyo yennyini oluggalawo yagamba sente teziwera. Kakati in comparison ku muntu akolera ebweru, abantu abakola ebweru bannayika mbabuulire, abantu abakola ebweru bakola emirundi 2 kwe kuweza sente. Tebakulimbanga nti wali akola omulimu ogumu ne ziwera, tebakikulimba. So I think mulina okwewa okufumitirizanga when you're reasoning out things. Kati ezo mbawadde buwi how Bebe Cool comes up to think about certain things. Tebijja buzifa. So back to one of the topics zenabadde njogerako ez'okumanya when I said I know the DJs, I know the owners of the radio stations and TV stations, I know everyone. Now, what was I saying to the young artists here? The content was what were you supposed to get from my conversation? N'olyoka olaba obuyenje ne busituka ne kavaayo, simanyi agambye bwe batyo system bweri balemesa. Temuddira bunafu bw'abayimbi kubushuga kootingako mbu Bebe Cool babalemesa, mbu the big 3 babalemesa, nga n'essaawa eno big 3 tukyakola night and day. N'essaawa eno the same people you call the big 3 are still working night and day. Mbu system. Abayimbi, let no one ever lie to you, mbu waliwo system. Your imagination of failures, and this is the type of failures. These are the things that we used to tell, and these are the things I used to tell you every single day. Stop doing drugs. Stop wasting your time pretending that you're doing something, yet you're surely knowing it's not productive. Buli muntu yenna azze ku internet kuno, every Ugandan artist or failed artist who has failed has been related to drugs. You write down the names. Write down the names and see if those people were not concentrated on music and drugs. I saw the so-called artist you were talking about, you blogger who was talking about my statement of saying that I can fail artists. Indeed, the comparison was better than getting a fight, a physical fight with an artist. I would rather use my connections to fight that artist. Because this is a race. This was done to me. This is done worldwide by record companies. Record companies, when one is releasing the one artist, the other is releasing another, they will find the best ways of how they can stop the other one from getting to the finish line fast. Temwefula bantu ntino temumanyi exactly what I meant. Don't misguide young people. Record company A releasing artist A and record company B releasing artist B, buli omu ayagala owe abasooka bonna bagenda ku radio yeemu. Kati record company A bwebanga ye yafunira DJ omulimu ku radio, you tell me oyo DJ anakuba music wani? Temwefula mbu mumanyi nyombo mwefula analysis. I know you're learning how to analyze, but don't misguide people. Been able to be real in reality. When I started my music, let me tell you something. When Jose Chameleone came back from Kenya and came here, okay, I also returned after 1 year. When I returned here, I will tell you the truth. Chameleone and the people he was working with could not play my music. As simple as that. His friend DJs could not. And I will even tell you this one DJ that I got a job myself. Nakwata DJ Shiru ne mujja ewa Rota. Ne mutwale wa Elvis nga nkoye okulwana ne ba DJ kwa bali tebakwa music wangi. Nengamba nze mu clubs zino, instead of fighting the DJs who are already there because they are not playing my music, because I see they are friends of Jose Chameleone, instead let me be friends with the owners of the clubs, and I ask my friends, those owners of the clubs, to employ my DJs there. So when I took my DJs in there, then some of my music started to play in there. So it was easy for me to tell my DJs who I had put in there that when you get in there, don't play Chameleone songs. You play mine, because the other DJs were playing Chameleone songs. How difficult is that? Is that really complicated? Common sense? Of course, Chameleone also was fighting to be the greatest. So he was telling his DJs not to play Bebe Cool's music. It is normal. This industry is not a church where tugabana kagati or take kagati. No! Life is a jungle. Temwefula mumanyi, you know. That is what. Now, what was the context of what I was saying? I was saying, learn to make friends. Social capital. Omwana oyo yatuse ku stage nga tayiri DJ namugamba ninako oluyimba lwolumu. Naye wulira ebigambo bye yakozesezza okuvuma DJ. Okimanyi nti ba DJ bonna balina association. Bwe baga tetugenda kuba muyimbi tebamukuba. Mumulabyeko wano firimu nga babayimbi abakuba ba DJ, and you still ask yourselves lwaki abayimbi abo bagwa. Ba DJ bonna bekwata omulundi ogwo ne bagawe tetujja mukuba music we. Groups zaabwe ndi mu groups nga mukaaga. Sometimes I even feel sorry when I read certain things. And the fight ba DJs je bataddeweyo, example je nabadembawa. That's why now you find that DJs are earning equal money, 80% the money the artists are earning, or even more money than artists now. Kwanga ba artists bali baine jogeri kuba ba DJ. Ba DJ ne bekola mu omulimu. Slick ayinza okubira Roger nambwa Roger. Gundi oyo yankubye. Oba Roger ayinza okulira gundi yakubye Slick Stewart naga oyo sijja kuba music we. Akusirikira busirikirizibwa ati. Bwe batuleyo mu meeting zaabwe ku group zange bagamba oyo mwana temugira. But then again, let me tell you this. Do you know that the DJs, the same DJs, Roger ayinza okuba ne artist omu nagamba ba DJ yonna ono artist wange, please push for me. So it is equal nechimu DJ oyo yennyini okugamba nti oyo artist yanvumye temukuba music we. And they don't. So is that rocket science really? Muli ku social media you're discussing Bebe Cool legend yagambi simanyi yeah. When I said it, I said something that you should have picked content from. Just because you have weak brains does not mean you just misguide people because mogera. Be very careful. Until some of us who have good brains, but tunava music tujja kudda wanonga tuogera. We will take your own jobs. Ate mwete musa kufuka bayimbi. Mwaba misleading abantu. Na ife tuso kufuka ba TikToker. because we already have followings. Mulina okuyiga okubeera constructive. Ate nammwe abantu mulekerawo nnyo okubeera nga ne mulaba bu clip bwe buti bwe basazeemu and you just take. Mulina okumanya omuntu wabeeredde ku TikTok live kitegeeza abaddeko hours and hours. We were speaking about just a few topics. I spoke for about 3 to 4 hours. How can you take something that lasts less than a minute? But that is what it meant. So, music industry, si kanisa. It is a very competitive platform with so many people needing to earn a living. Kyogamba gwe omuyimbi atudde awo ampuliriza oba alaba ogenda kubeera olaba omuyimbi oli omulala nga akuyitako gw'osirike nga tolina kyokolawo omukubira engalo mbu agenze wakabi nnyo ye agenze. That's why temuyitawo. Nalabidde ddala a person on live saying nti kyekyabalemesa abayimbi abato kyekibalemeseza okubiitinga ba Bebe Kumbo, the big three. What? No wonder you're a failure in life, you person who said that. I am not surprised. You're so petty. You're so petty like this. Era sikuvuma naye njagala oddeyo mu ndabirwamu weeyambule ng'oli wekka mu kisenge weenonyeko anything valuable between you, your life and your family. Okujjako okuzaala nti wazaala abaana era osabe Katonda nti nno okyuka kati oba redirecting a mindset. Because you're arguing out a person who is a million times successful using his formula, while your formula that you think was right has kept you below. What is wrong with Ugandans for not understanding that a person who lives a better life than you made the better decision than yours? It means he understood more than you did. It means you have to learn from him rather than attack him. In Uganda, this is a country where those who don't have abuse those who have. This is a country where the unsuccessful attack the successful, telling them they are unsuccessful. This is so wrong. Era nze nwananya abavubuka muleme kugenda na mentality z'abo ababatiisatiisa. No, the formula is one. When you see a person who has made it, mukope, genda awo. Muve mbana bababuzabuza mbu music industry erina system, mbu they fail people, mbu no, simanyi Illuminati. Guys, I was in Nairobi with Jose Chameleon. We slept on the floor. Netwebike akagundi kamu twagabana n'engoye z'okwambala. Bombo clat when you come and sembo Illuminati nga gwe waliwa ne Uganda nga webaka mufaliso ne blanketi nga bakuwa chai nga ffe tutambula kwa Afia Center tukola tunoonya gwe joyita Illuminati. Well, if that is Illuminati, then forgive me, I am Illuminati. Mori very strange, but you see, because I love my country so much, I will not cease. I don't. This live today goes against a few things with my management, but unfortunately, life is beyond just career and management. Life is life. Life. You will understand when your career stops to mean anything. That it was important for you to put a tafari on your own people in your own country for the betterness of your own people. If you have information in the head, you should share it at the right time. This is one of the youngest countries where people, these young people need to hear these things. You must not shy away from amazima. Nebwegabagaluma, you say it. Uganda is the country a single kubera ne opportunities. That's why Uganda anything can be done. Fe tu supporting abayimbi okuva mu buli nsi yonna. When has a Ugandan artist ever gone to any country and been supported and become a star? But every single Nigerian artist who has made it worldwide has come here before they are big, and then they get that big audience on the picture. They become big in the UK, they become big in the world. How comes it is not happening the other way around? Because it is the Ugandan who hasn't found the formula. Olwokuba otudde UK mu kasenge naawe ena analysis gyowa ku Uganda ku Bebe cool. Young man and young woman, eno ensi kumwe etandika butandisi kubanga nkusuubiza naka akatebe k'otuddeko ako bw'otakakozese nga brand nga atunda brand, it's not paying. Otherwise manyi woosula ne byokola ne bwohasu ne bwosafaringa ne family yo nga bwe muli. Sirina kyenkwegombako era ssuubira muvubuka yenna kumugamba nti yegombe abavubuka abo ababiri oba abasatu abasiba ku TikTok nga babuuza mbu their lives are better. No. It's because you always keep misguiding people, because you have misguided mindsets. Mwe mukyala be Bungereza na America ng'ebitalo, oh my God, nonya visa. I respect everyone who went to Europe and America to work. Okola kasente ka katono okomyewo. But I disrespect everyone whose mindset is out there to make a Ugandan think it is important okuva wano okugenda eri mbabali eri be bakabi. How many people have been on social media here nga babagamba bannange Mukama yanyambe nasonze bye nakozeza nenkoma waliwo mwami wane yazimba mall bamita Bakalwa.
Yes,
eri Haji Bakalwa.
Yes.
Eri Rudawa SAS. Yes, he gives you a good story about what exactly is. See Haji Bakalwa eka so many people in the beginning those days it was okay because abazungu bali tebananyweza nnyo nati ng'osobola okukola esente zo ne zibeera valuable n'ozimba wano ate ne wana Uganda ebiseera ebyo amatakanga ga sente ntono ebintu ebyokozesa okuzimba amayumba nga bya sente ntono. You could, but now the world is different. Today bw'otunuulira Abamerika bennyini abazungu bagamba nange Africa is better than America. Uganda is better than UK, US. It is better. Naye gojja gamba nti ojja kumbuuza ng'oyagala kuleeta mwana eno okusamba mupiira. That is the petty thinking. Of course n'omuzungu bwe yajja wano yajja kubba nange njaga kujjayo nzibeyo kyenzibye nkizze. Naye naawe bw'oba ogendayo kubbayo kyobbye ozze eno. Not because nti yewasinga naye waliwo ekyokubbayo. Just like always the president says, even a fool can survive in Uganda. How do you tell me that's not the best place? Today, President Traore mulaba kyaliko Burkina Faso. Alwana na mindset z'abantu kwekyo ekintu. Third most selling gold country. Yakusatu mu production ya gold ANC. Augmenting over Burkina Faso to go to America for greener pastures? Really? My best person today, and I had this argument with most of my friends in the US when I went there. I told them Trump will become the president because now the world is open. The worst weapon that has been created ever in this world is called TikTok. That is the mass destruction weapon that was created, and surprisingly, not even any bright white person or any bright black person could anticipate the dangers of TikTok. TikTok is as Americans went to Iraq pretending to look for weapons of mass destruction, a Chinese man was in America creating the weapon of mass destruction. The weapon of mass destruction is called TikTok. By basic information, you know that information is power. And if you're an American, or if you're a European, or anyone who is in governments in Europe, you should have known that the only reason you took over the world was because information was only kept to you, by you. The second you chose to allow information to flow, now everyone has the information, so that means everyone has the power. So Traore has the power, Museveni has the power, an African in Luero, in Gulu now knows, because we get information from you. We now know the things. It's no longer like those days when you used to come and land and say, I mean, there's two stations in the US. There's CNN and there's BBC. BBC's UK. There's what network is that? So you can see that all the programs that are programmed on those stations are programmed to change with a narrative, with an intended narrative. The Democrats are on this station. The Republicans are on the other one. So everyone has a way they build the mindset of their supporters to believe what they are saying. That's why at the end of the day, Trump, oh my God, all Africans must thank Trump. That's the way to think. That is how to think. I remember when he said that statement and said, it was Putin, President Putin, who said Africans live in, they live in a graveyard. He commented something to do with a graveyard. But what he meant was actually very positive for us to think about. The same way Trump is making us, helping us to think. Close the funding so that I can look around myself and look for money within myself. That means you're helping me. How much funding has been stopped in Uganda? How many people have died, surely? Bobi Wine has been shouting every now and then. So many projects successfully have been closed in Uganda. People don't have jobs. Remember, from the fact that there were less jobs, the man kept on walking up and down saying they'll stop funding Uganda, and now more don't have jobs. But then guess what? When Trump stops the funding, we are now more serious on the corruption, looking for the best ways to curb corruption, looking for the best ways to look for money within ourselves so that we can be self-dependent. Kakati bw'osanga abantu abatasobola kulowooza nti ne statement gyenkola in music, or if you find people who can't think that even a single statement I make in music involves something, a narrative within the economy, political and social conversation within my head, I understand when you don't understand. That's why I say, ask, please ask. Don't just say things. Some of us have been blessed to have the reason to have the opportunity to be close to leaders. It wasn't by mistake that I looked for my way closer to the president, or I looked for my way closer to politicians and these rich people and owners of the so-called radios. And I needed to understand the perspective of ownership of those properties, the perspective of sitting in those offices, the perspective of power, the perspective of finances, being rich. I needed to understand those things and relate to myself. So when you come to discuss what Bebe has said, please watch. I expect the good thing is abantu abasinga okubeera important. Okay, abantu benali tutemu ensa. abakola analysis, they hadn't said anything because I know they watched the whole, 3 hours. They did watch the whole 3 hours. So they knew the context in which I said the statement I did. But only these ones who want to impress, we are opposition. Even if you do a good song, we don't like. Even if something good happens, we don't appreciate. We already know your opposition and we don't care. We will only do one thing, make a good life for you so that you can stay alive, live well. After all, half of the opposition people here in Abalim Parliament, they are as rich as no man's business. I only feel sorry, and that's why I support Museveni, because Museveni cares about the poor person in the opposition, because he knows that that person has been misled. Here you are following a guy who definitely, you see him kneeling down in Bazungu, yet the narrative on Africa today is patriotism. Oh my goodness. And you even say, abadde Bazungu, and nemukuba nenga, really? Ngate mulaba Africa yonego babazungu. Chokamba muli mabega wakati. The likes of Nambos, the pretenders, just because they look for office. So, and this issue is political, because it is serving people two-way. Ebintu bya politics ebyo serving a two-way, and I'm happy that things are happening that way. Nemumalamu abantu abamageze ekitiibwa kati bulaba eri wali olutalo Namboze byayogedde bya kisiru nnyo. It is the most stupid thing. Lwaki temwaze kwebyo nemu correctinga Namboze? Muli ku Bebe kulu olwokubanga mwagala okubika ensobi za Namboze. You started that topic because Namboze had done the most stupid. Bobi Wine and Namboze this week have said the most stupid two statements. How do you attack? How do you come and say nti Abaganda abawakyawagira Museveni muli basiru nnyo? Obuwagizi bw'omukulembeze wa Uganda buva ku Baganda oba buva ku Bannayuganda? Why is your topic always about Baganda? Can't you have common sense and see nti nekyo kikukyaya tribes endala? For us, of course, tukubengalo naye ate kinuma nnyo kati njagala nnyo ku exposing exactly what nali ngamba nti no Bobi Wine omutwe gwo munafu nnyo. At least emyaka gy'omaze mu politics today wali badde oyina ky'oyizeeko. Museveni bw'aba kuba akalulu wali badde oyiga akubira wa? You have to learn from the best. Bulijjo nange nenoonyamu ekintu ekigambo waayo oba kasajja nkawalana lwa music no naye n'obwongo obukalu nabo butukooya. That's why we are still stuck with the NRM. Gwe notamanya nti obukulembeze is not about Baganda. Otukyayisiza abantu bonna oyagala okuleeta tribalism eddemu abantu batandika okubanga batulabanga Abaganda. Tugenda kwesigala nji okula tukyuke nga basobola okulaba nti tuli Baganda ennyindo tuzisale ngoma zo tukyayisa. Can't you just learn that leadership is about every tribe, not one? Then nizileta Namboze mbo fe tusobola okufuna obululu ne Buganda ezirijo n'endala ne tubagaana okulonda. Really? And you are a human being in Uganda here? Ye mwe abatudde mu bantu baffe wano mukulembeza. Ensonga lwaki have gone to the politics is because it is noob bloggers obwavuddeyo ne butandika okumisguidinga nga bukozesa statement yange okukavaringa mistakes ezakoleddwa mu wiiki zabadde bbiri eza noob. Omanyi this is how social media works. Okay? Omuntu bw'akola ensobi abeera asaba Katonda wajjewo topic emubika. Kakati topic eyo bwebula ng'omuntu oyo akuba essimu agamba aba bloggers be nti mulonde ku ekyo mukibuzaabuze bwe kiti mukole bwe muti. If you really meant that Bebe Cool meant ntino ya blocking anga abayimbi, why didn't you play at least a clip of 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the conversation. You have lost it completely, you young people, you old people who are pretending mwe mubulirira bana abantu. If you notice, there's been consistency in my position in a lot of things. Ndi consistent politically, and I'm consistent on ebintu byembera mbulira. Nebozijjayo tewabanga statement yonna gye yali ekyuse mu kamwa kange. Kwanja nnyo ensi yange. And I want people to understand. Ne music yono nalibadde namuvaamu mbabuulira mazima, because I see where also a percentage ziri. Now that I know the music muzibu nnyo, ensendala zituleka, tewali muyimbi muto agenda kusobola kukompitinga ku level competing bwako kati. Ekigenda okubeerawo ensi yaffe bajja gifuula nga yo ya welcoming all the stars who become big, all the African big stars are becoming a big mu nsi, nga ffe betulinda ne tuteeka na lugogo ne jula yonna yonna, nga ffe tetulinayo waffe asobola kugenda. Kubanga kati music ali so expensive. Kati bana abaana abato abaliwo banakola batya albums zino n'ennyimba ezo, tebasobola, balina kola kamukamu. Kati bw'oyagala Bebe ate ku ssaawa eno nga yasobola okuteekamu ku kasente, ate naye aveeyo, then kati industry n'atuuka ddi okukolayo album. Mwe kennyini Uganda mwe mubeeraawo, Wizkid alina album, Davido yatadde album, Uganda muliko ki? Ne mujerega epasi yakola ka album ke mu ddiiro lye biki and you tewalina luyimba luzanya. That is you. Kakati ate Bebe afunye ku sente asobola okwaccessinga funds esokola album, ate bw'agikola ate nti oyo baganya bana ate okuvayo bali badde lwaki bali badde bava mu music nga bali legends nga simanyi bakwina record label. Who told you to make a record label? You just need to be old. You the young one, why can't you make one instead? It is very, very, very important for you mwino okufumitiriza, mwino okuyiga okufumitiriza. Bwe mutafumitirizenga temujja kutegeeranga kiki lwaki abantu bakola ebintu bye bakola ki bye bakola. Ate nabagambako dda nti obwongo bw'omwana omuto tebusobola ku digestinga bintu kwenkana bwongo bwa muntu mukulu. Omuntu omukulu bw'ayogera byayogera tebabisuula mu guluka. Kivula nabakubira kamwako. Kati waliwo ne gwe nalabye yakuteyo statement n'ateekako akayimba kaba kamwako. Kikola positive two way. Akamwako kaso kuba nga kogera ebintu naye nga abantu tebabitegeera. So mwabadde bagezaako okuddira topiki ya Bebe Cool mugifuule nti ebika mistakes za Namboze neza Kadingo. Sebo temujja kugubika waawo. Ate okumanya temujja kubikawo. Ekirungi nalabye ne kana akavubuka ke South Africa kakisekanga era today actually bwe mbadde ndaba nga actually ndoza mulimuko ku bantu abagezaako okutegeera common sense nga bayina bamanyi okufumitiriza. Kakiseka nkalabye kabyogera. That's where you should point. Actually nebajjo leero mulabye. Omanyi eyo omuvuka tategeera naye ate naye leero alina amagezi. Eyo gye mulina okuti muli mu nsobi. Temudira byaffe ebintu ebiguiding abaana why in this world would amaanyi gennina sisobola gatuuzaako muntu sisobola ekyo mu kufa kwange Allah ankole kyayagala sisobola cause already ne benwana nabo banafu yenze nkyalina gwenwana naye musically no one. I'm doing musical wange like nothing. My job is to only support the Ugandan artists to see how far can we go. But the support is not putting ice cream in your mouth. You young people. The support won't come by smearing kungulu mbukusiga kungulu. No. You need to understand it is even going to be tougher. Nalabye waliwo yakoze listi y'abayimbi mbu abaalemwa ndoza kati mutegedde lwaki mwalemwa mbu the big three mbu system illusion in your mind obunafu. When we prayed tubagamba nange kati ngenda bagamba ekintu maze emyaka mingi nga mbagamba kunjaga ambagaba n'enjaga eyo gye mulaba nze nagitegeera enjaga kyekola enjaga eyo ena element gye making omuntu okubeera comfortable n'olabya ddala ng'ogenza oli wakabi kati omuntu wakabi ayinza okukola oleda aba amanyi wakabi. Get me that from omuntu bw'obanga oli mu modi yegamba nti ja Rastafari oba olaba oline Katonda ng'otuuse oba tusobola kukola mulo oba tusobola kukola era bwekuggwako ekibeerawo kibeera nti oba oyagala kuddayo eri ewa Katonda w'abadde atudde ng'ozzaako. I don't want to put names on this, but I have seen so many great artists in Uganda destroy their careers and their lives because of weed. Instead of listening to these things that I keep dropping one by one, hey guys, make friends. How many today, if I may ask you young people, why do you think when Jeff promotes an artist, if that artist leaves Jeff, it's very difficult for them to make it? Why do you think so? It's because you refuse to understand what is Jeff's strength. Jeff's strength is friends with DJs, friends with owners of radio stations. That is his strength. So when he gets an artist, he just keeps taking them back in his social capital. When he goes back to his social capital, when he has a new artist, he will tell his friends that stop playing the old artist. I'm no longer working with him or her. Play this new artist. That's why when you leave Swang's Avenue has a budget that only pays for artists in there. They don't pay for artists who have left Swang's Avenue because those artists will be competing with the new artists. So the budget will go on the new artist. So Swang's Avenue as a management or a record company will go and say, please remove all the previous songs from the playlist. Now load these new songs. It is as easy as that. That's what I meant. So as an individual artist, I can do the same. That I was supporting so and so, but now I don't. Please, instead of that, in the money I gave, please play so and so. So I want you artists to take this as business, not as fun, not as a favor, not as... We are not in church, guys, because you're wasting a lot of time. It should not be time wasted. It should be time invested. It's a business. The music industry is a business. How is business done? Ask yourselves. That's why these guys that we're trying to compete with, of course, recently when I did my interview with Desope in the UK, I was so hurt by just the things he told me. And he was right. The Ugandan artists started to go to the UK, to London, as much as the Nigerian artists were going there. Actually, I can guarantee you that there is no Nigerian who had a club. The clubs were owned by Ugandans. One of ours was Charlie Rubega, who owned, it was called Paya. Yeah, Paya 1, and another, what club in London. And even the Nigerians were having their nights in there. But there is no single Ugandan artist we balinga batutwala agenda ku Friday ku Lwokubiri na kola media tour mu UK. No, bwe batutwalanga ku Lwokubiri n'otuuka ku Lwokubiri olw'eggulo ne bakutwala mu ddiiro ly'omuntu ne bakwalira ne weebakaawo ne bakukima ne bakutwala okulya emmere olw'eggulo muka restaurant k'abana Uganda. Jukira ogenze kuyimbira bana Uganda naye ne bakutwala mu restaurant y'abana Uganda ate ne bakomyawo ne bakuteeka mu ddiiro ne weebakaawo. N'otuuka Wednesday, Thursday, Friday no performinga ku Saturday shame. Ate olumala okuperforminga nga tiketi yo olinnya ku Sunday n'okomawo Uganda. Nga basically what has happened is ovudde Uganda mba Uganda n'ogenda London n'otukira mu nyumba y'omuna Uganda ne weebaka blanket y'omuna Uganda n'ogyebika n'ozukuka n'olinya ku stage n'oyimbira omuna Uganda n'osituka enkeera n'okomawo Uganda. How do you become international? Omusajja yambuza n'angamba, Bebe, this is what the Nigerians did at that time. When they had a show here in the UK, they came in a month prior. And then they went to every possible radio station that they could be given an interview, and all possible clubs. Nga bakubamu 1 minute nayogera ngenda kwera ne show yange wano nakubayoka even MCs and DJs could nga babagamba, you know, we have so and so, he'll be performing on this date in this venue. Bone ba building kati agenda okuita mu mabala nga 100 before his main show. Ngogenda okulanga buli bala je abantu 15 20 so when they start to open venues zaabwe ne zibanga abantu bajjanga bangi ne zigenda gazigaziwa kati atenga ne ku radios their names are getting to be known. So that's how the Nigerians became big in the UK while Ugandans stayed within Ugandans. And even the Ugandans that we had in the UK started pounding us back to Uganda. And yakuwa business class oba toyagala lekayo nga kwegamba ne batandika twist ddala ng'ebiyenje waliwo benalaba baba collecting ango enkota. We should have gone to the UK. If you have a show there, go 1 month prior. Promote your music in different clubs, in different Nigerian restaurants and bars. Move here and there. Do a few clips here and there. Spend some time there. Nigerians spend 2 to 3 months when they are there. I did not manage to do that because I should have done it. At that time, I didn't have a family. Right now, I can't stay away from my family for 3 months. Maybe I can 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that means possibly nyinza okwanga mbadde n'okutambula n'omukyala. But gwakyali omu atanaba kuzimba family. Those are the things you should be doing. For 4 years bw'okikolera emyaka ena, there is no way abayimbi beeyo abali ku ground bwe bataakumanye. There is no way 1 or 2 or 3 radio stations that are big won't pick you up. There is no way those DJs won't pick you up. So bwe tubanga tubadde tulina conversation nga totegeera bintu bino, please temwefuula nti ate mbadde mbasirikiriddemukko mmwe. Mbadde mbasirikiriddemu naye ngenda kukuulayo enjala. Era naddala those who want to criticize musically, please wait on the 30th and pick on that album and critically listen to it. Kati mujiwulirize kifuba so that mutegere omusajja ono ddala ddala byayogera ayesudia oba mujiwulirize. Ate bw'oba totegedde era nja kutambula, I will do a media tour even if it means 1 year and a half. But I promise you within 1 year and a half or 2 years you will understand why Bebe did what he did. Nze mujukire nze saagala bya bampane. I am not a seeker of public sympathy. Forget it. I am a fact seeker. And I feed on facts, however painful they are. I'm a strong African. I slept on the streets in Nairobi. I had a home in Uganda. And you're here telling me that Mbu Illuminati, Mbu there is a system in Uganda, Mbu Big Three, take out system. Nga paka sawa zino nkyatoba. Paka sawa zino nkyatoba. Saagala kwasa byama. Nina bingi nnyo bye mmanyi nze myaka gino gyonna gye tubaddewo. So I spoke about, there was a question that was given by one of the bloggers asking me about the fights. And I told her, or I said, the fights, as long as they are verbal, not physical, it's okay. But remember, this topic came from the fact of the corporate companies. If you are going to get support or sponsorship from corporate companies, you must understand the dynamics of the corporate companies. That's why I'm saying you must take the music industry as a business, not as fun, not as looking for a hit song or two. Because the reason that you're not getting money is because you're not taking it as a business. If you take it as a business, then you must know the do's and don'ts of businesses. And those are standard. Those issues are standard. Bw'ogitwala nga business omanya corporate companies okurelatinga naawe olina okuba nga oli muyonjo. Yes, zifubye okutusupportinga despite, because the jungle world that we came from in Nairobi, we came nga abakongo batukubye nnyo, we came nga tulwana n'emiziku w'obweru waba Jamaica waaki ne babeeramu ne kabambi. Ate n'ebiseera ebyo abantu ba mu Uganda bali tebanategeera nnyo ku analyzing na ku scrutinizing companies. For example, I'll give you a good